there's a lot of guys out there between the ages of late 30s to mid 50s in age, and there's a lot of women out there between 18 and 24. So by his age and her age, the conference of that union would create children with longer telomeres, which means they would have stronger DNA. Their DNA would be less likely to break down. And longer telomeres, which is the puddle at the end of DNA that holds the shoelace string together like an dendrite on a shoelace, which also confers to chromosomal telomere lengthening, of course. Longer tips of the chromosomes, which is all greater health. Less chance of mental illness, less chance of ignorance, less chance of dying early, less chance of being mean. Greater in all areas is what I'm saying. Less chance of autism. The whole autistic thing, mental health thing with older men is between the ages of 60 and whatever. Hopefully not dead. That would be a little gross. So this age union thing would create stronger DNA in a child. So I sit back and wonder why there's not more SJWs in support of this. Although I've likely heard that there are some. Or why Antifa wouldn't be like shaking their fist at least at this not occurring due to a form of bigotry known as age phobia, which doesn't make much sense to me because the telomerase chemical elevates areas of oxytocin, I would imagine, among women of that age because they tend to blush around us, especially in knowing that we know this. And that is a sign of oxytocin dripping from the brain into the parts of the body that, in a rated G way, would be the parts of the body responsible for wanting to procure children. So why you wouldn't be curious about this confuses me. And it scares me if you know and no longer care and just do what you do out of a false sense of preference. There's a lot of rich dudes out there, dudes in your economic class, which women tend to vote anyway, even though they're largely anti-capitalist. Yeah, men are the total problem. The total problem? No. Men are a problem. The 200 years of women's suffrage, no, that's a false fact. Women's suffrage has been around since the 19-teens, and women have been subjugated to oppression since the dawn of human civilization, which was the city of Ur in ancient Sumeria, where human beings began city building. And this occurred 200,000 years ago. And in all that time, men have been indeed oppressing women. So it's easy to denote that the age phobia is trickling down through the patriarchy. But not you, right, my guy? You see, every other mammal, from what I've researched, is in this sort of pattern for the strongest DNA for the children. Yes, it is true that bonobos and chimps and other primates do as males mate with older women. But when they're seeking childbirth, these monkeys will in fact mate with the younger adult females of the troop. This occurs, I would imagine, quite a bit within the mammal kingdoms. Quite a bit, because it seems to happen with dogs as well. When dogs are old and gray and wolves are out in the woods, they usually tend to attract more female wolves. Never mind the fact that a gorilla has 30 wives in his contention, protecting him. And the bonobos will pretty much have sex with any other kind of bonobo. When breeding, when wishing to breed, the largest majority of mammals tend to flock younger female to older male, with perhaps a generational skip. Look into the generational skip because that would be an indication of a resonance with the Fibonacci sequence. And also, when you look up into the sky, you see spaces between what are known as stars. And stars connect to patterns with planets through things like spaces, gaps. So there's indeed a, down to the atomic quantum levels, I mean, to the biggest scale, to the smallest scale, there are gaps. There are gaps between the electron and the nucleus of every atom in existence. There are black holes everywhere. There are synapses. These are all natural patterns. There seems to be a intergenerational skip to the universe. Oh yeah, the generational skip. And I don't see why you wouldn't want to find out more about that by going to my website, which is actually my Instagram account. Because it could be told in as little as 6 pictures from the internet. And you'll be like, plum fuckity. That's the gosh darn honest truth. I could show you how intelligence is dropping and scientists don't know why. And the Harvard study from 2012 says that older fathers will give their kids stronger DNA and more intelligence, and they'll live longer. So maybe that's why the intelligence is dropping. And it has little else to do with the cell phones, which should impress upon well with the millennials and the Generation Z, because we're all with our cell phones. Even Generation X and baby boomers. And I'm sure Bernie has a cell phone. No, he just rubs rocks together. He doesn't. Please tell me he doesn't. And we all like Bernie, or Yang, or Elizabeth. And then there's you Republicans, and then you piggies. I tend to call every Democrat that is not Bernie, Yang, or Elizabeth Warren a piggy or a bootlicker, because Kamala Harris is a cop and she's filthy. Even Tulsi Gabbard, a bit too much. Too much of a bootlicker. Beto Harris, how's he going to take away the guns? Not that it matters, not that he's out of the race, but he'd use what are known as cops to take away your guns. What I'm saying here is that, like these one-issue candidates, or these sugar-coated Bernie Sanderses, are not really what the jibe is with the millennials and Generation Z. And those two generations can now vote, which ought to, logically, be able to offset every other vote in the race, including Trump. If Bernie gets it, I would say that Trump is going to lose. Quite handily. Is Bernie going to get it, though? It didn't happen in 2016. He is ahead right now. I'm not sure where he is exactly, but Beto just dropped out, so he's obviously moved up. And I know he's ahead of Elizabeth Warren and Andrew Yang. And Kamala Harris is still in it. And there's some other people. Biden. Gets such a racist. Everything that Biden wants is the opposite of what Bernie wants. So I think I'm going to go with Bernie on this one. I don't know much about it, but I've seen the meme. And Bernie usually knows what he's doing. I'm not rich. I'm not even middle class. I'm poor. I don't need anything. I'm just telling you that I'm not an oligarch. Instagram. Lucas Warner 79.